Why, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Voice of the Rings. I'm your host and guide, Zollin Ironshield. And today, my friends, yes, we're going to do a quick little breakdown, and you're going to hear Voice of the Rings thoughts on this new Amazon trailer for the teaser trailer for the Amazon series coming out. I want to do two things. You're going to hear my thoughts, and then I'm going to break it down, both things, on what I think things are and what parts there are. So, with no further ado, what we're going to do is we're going to watch the trailer real quick with you guys, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit for fun. And then I'll give you my thoughts on what I like, maybe what I don't like, that kind of thing. You can kind of hear what Zollin Ironshield thinks about it. All right, my friends? So before we just go over, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And we will go ahead and bring down that music over there. And then we will go ahead and watch the trailer, my friends. So again, we want to just shout out real quick at the beginning that if you are, I feel like one of the biggest things right now with the trailer and with this whole series is there's two extreme sides, okay? And I'm Zollin Ironshield. I look at everything. I'm a very positive dwarf. I look at everything half full versus half empty. But at the same time, I'm not afraid to point out problems in something, okay? So again, there's two sides, and I'm just going to say this real quick. And if you want to say things in the comments, you are welcome to comment in this video. Please feel free to. But do it in a civil way. Don't battle each other, guys. We're all Tolkien lovers are kind of in the same boat. We really want this to be good, but at the same time, we're really apprehensive for good reasons, right? So there's one side that is, it's gonna be bad. We haven't even seen it yet, and we already don't like it, right? That's one extreme side, okay? There's tons of sides in between. The other extreme side is, if you don't like it, you are somehow against Tolkien, right? Those are the two extreme sides right now, right, of this thing. Those are kind of like the back and forth, right? And I'm in the middle, okay? So I'm in the same boat as Nerd of the Rings. If you've seen his review, it's awesome. You should check it out as well. But I'm in the same boat as Nerd of the Rings. I'm reserving the right to judge it until I've seen it, the first episode, maybe even the whole season. I am in the exact same boat as Nerd of the Rings. Now, here's the thing, guys. I'm someone that's like, I will look for the good things in it, but at the same time, if there's a bunch of glaring bad things in it, right, that we are worried about, I'm going to say it after, right? I will say it. But at the same time, I'll be positive the good things they did. But who knows, you guys? Maybe they will do it really, really well. There is always that option. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm very excited to hear that they're not going to put any inappropriate stuff for children. So they already said that it will not be like Game of Thrones, as in where little kids couldn't watch it. Like, between 10 and 13, up to, really older, because Game of Thrones had a lot of very inappropriate things, which, not to say anything, I'm not trying to attack Game of Thrones, guys. I'm just saying, like, with Lord of the Rings, a lot of us want it to be where our 10-year-old kids can watch it, except for maybe violence, right? We want some battle violence, right? But that's what they've already said. So that is already like, big deep breath, right? I'm like, that's huge for me, because that would make or break it for me right there. Now, another thing that's positive is that Howard Shore will be doing the music for it, which is huge, because that'll make it feel more like Lord of the Rings again. One thing in the trailer does not have Howard Shore's music. So again, this isn't a trailer. I correct myself. It's a teaser. So we don't get a lot of information out of a teaser, right? But let's watch it real quick, and then I'll talk more, okay? And we'll go through it. Here we go. First thing I'm thinking of when I watch this, okay? The first thing I'm thinking about is the fact that, so I thought about this a lot when I first saw it before I watched anyone else's reaction to the teaser. So I have now watched Nerd of the Rings and a couple others, which I agree with. Nerd of the Rings did a very good job with his overview of the, if you want to check out his video too. So here's my thoughts on it, okay? So I really like it. The visuals, a lot of the places felt like Middle-earth. The music, since it wasn't Howard Shore's music, it was kind of just a generic soundtrack. It didn't feel like Lord of the Rings, okay? So I can understand why some people are feeling the feeling of, I've heard a lot of this big comment of, it just feels like a generic fantasy. Now, I'd like to point one thing out, everyone. We're trying to compare this to generic fantasies. We have to understand that and remember that Tolkien was the original maker of fantasy, right? He brought everything to life. We thank Tolkien for pretty much everything we love, right? World of Warcraft, all the different new fantasy games, all the different genres, and things. It's really from Lord of the Rings, right? So again, to say, or let's, for example, some people are there's one spot where she's climbing an ice wall, Galadria, right, which we'll talk about in a second, and it's like, you know, the ice wall in, you know, Game of Thrones. That's a good, yeah, true, and I'm sure Amazon's trying to get that newer look, but you got to remember too, guys, like, again, all that stuff was inspired. A lot of it was inspired by Tolkien, right? For even that stuff. But it's I'm gonna try to break this down and talk about it as we go without getting too off track for you guys. Again, this is a more in-depth dive with Zollin Ironshield. So again, right when I come off, the music, not really big too fan of it. So this part though, right here, okay? This right here. This is awesome. This makes me excited. This visual of Numenor right here. Okay, well, if it'll show me Numenor. Come on, show me Numenor, please. All right, so this visual right here, it's really awesome, okay? I definitely agree with a lot of people have been saying that some people thought this was Elven. I definitely think it's Numenor, just because the building styles looks very, like, human, the way it's, like, structured. You know, at least from Peter Jackson's adaptation of the elves style, and a lot of the old, you know, Alan Lee and their drawing and stuff. This mountain back here that kind of looks like the Lonely Mountain, but you have to remember, in the lore, Numenor has a giant mountain in the center of the island that's like sacred. So this is definitely Numenor. This looks awesome. This feels like Middle-earth, right? And again, some people will be like, well, it kind of feels like Game of Thrones. Well, again, guys, Lord of the Rings is grand, right? We can't come from the premise of comparing it to Game of Thrones. Because remember, Game of Thrones got a lot of its inspiration, the stories and the stuff from our real world, right? From what I know, and also from Tolkien with creatures, right? Or like The Witcher, right? The Witcher was awesome, by the way, right? It was really well done. But even then, you know what I'm saying? That's something to think about. But anyway, very cool. I really like this. Now, the announcer, the girl talking, I have nothing against that, but again, I'm going to try to stay as positive I can with this video, but at the same time, I am going to criticize things that I think need to be criticized. I don't really like it. Again, it's a teaser, right? So I kind of hope that's not going to be like the main voice opening character like Galadria, like Kate Blanchett was in The Lord of the Rings, right? I hope that's not the case, because I didn't like that very much. But we're going to continue on here. So then we're going to go through. I'm going to let it play out for a second here.
There's wonders in this world.
It just... The voice reminds me a little bit of like a more child feel of a movie, you know, like all these new child shows. And again, you have to think about it for marketing, guys. Amazon does want to market this, right? So hopefully they don't do it so much that they throw away their love for the fans, but that's always a worry for us, right? But I think I'm going to hold that hope, and I'm going to judge it when I watch it, okay? So now, again, the visuals here are great. These two people walking with these giant antlers, no idea who they are. It makes me think immediately of nomads, and it's funny because I also watched later after I thought about this. Nerd of the Rings thought this too. I feel like they're the Lothoth people, or a Forachel, up in the far north. But again, they're down here, but this could be they're traveling down in through the North Downs, you know, by where Estelden is and all those different locations in Fornost. So this is the right terrain for that. So those are my guesses on that. I think that's kind of interesting. This is a very beautiful scenery. It makes me think of Middle-earth, the place. Okay, now this one. All right, so maybe this character will be great. But for one, this hair stuff going on here, and it looks like horns, even though I don't think they are horns. I think they're just sticks. This really makes me think of Narnia right here, okay? And my family, a lot of people thought that too when I watched this. She looks like a fawn from the new Narnia, right? Like, granted, Narnia is not new, but like it feels like that fantasy thing. I think what Amazon's going for is this is going to be a lot more magical feeling, even though Tolkien didn't really like magic. But even in the books, there is more powers at play in the Second Age than in the Third Age, as in it's a lot less manpower and actual physical. It's a lot more magical creatures, right? There's a lot of Balrogs. There's a lot of dragons. There, you know, a lot more really powerful high elves. You know what I mean? And then, you know, Morgoth's armies and evil. So that makes sense. I believe Nerd of the Rings, I kind of agreed with him. At first, I'm like, I don't know who this is, right? It's some girl. But he thinks it's going to be like a Hobbit. Maybe what they're planning on doing is having like the story told where they'll tell a story of something, that some legend they heard, and they'll bounce back and we'll see a battle or something. That could be good. Maybe they're just flashing this for like younger audience because, oh, look, it's a younger character and for younger kids, right? But they're going to do that, and then she won't actually be too much in the movie. You know what I mean? Because they did say they're not going to use a lot of hobbits in the movie because hobbits weren't really around in the Second Age. So they're already kind of stretching it to have any hobbits if this is a Hobbit. So that's what my thoughts on that one. So let's keep going. All right, this one. Oh, okay. All right, my friends. This one. What? Like, okay, for Lord. Okay, so they're bouncing their Amazon series obviously as a before the Lord of the Rings, the Return of the King movies adaptations by Peter Jackson. And remember, guys, this is an adaptation, right? So we do reserve the right to criticize or rejoice and support, right, if it's good or bad, depending on the thing, right? But before the king, there are so many kings right now in the Second Age. There are High Elven kings, there are Numenorian kings, there are evil kings. There's still probably kings of the elves of Rivendell. I mean, the Woodland Realm. There's probably kings of the Dunlendings, or chieftains at least. There's a lot of kings. So what do they mean before the kings? Okay, so that one bugs me a little bit. But again, what they're trying to say is this is before Aragorn, the second king of Gondor, is reunited of the kingdom of Gondor. That's the idea. They're trying to. This is from the perspective of people who've only seen the movies and don't know anything about the lore, right? Again, I hope they don't. I wouldn't mind if they just tried to do it straight from the adaptation of Peter Jackson, but they better follow the lore still. But again, that one's a little weird for me. Okay, this is a great shot. This is amazing. I feel like this is two different things. I immediately thought this part is Galadria traveling the path between the Undying Lands and Middle-earth and the Far North when I first saw it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool, right? But then Nerd of the Rings pointed something out that the suns weren't created when she traveled that yet. It was the light of the two trees were gone, and it was darkness, just darkness up here. And I was like, oh, that's a good point. So then he thought maybe it's up in the far north, in the Fordwaith, or north of Forchell. And I was like, oh, that would be interesting. And I like that idea. And that would be cool. But this is beautiful. And it reminds me, the grandeur of this reminds me of Middle-earth, because everything is like amazing in Middle-earth. Like, it's like our best places on our Earth, right? In Ardar, it's just amazing, right? But again, she's obviously, okay, so she is obviously traveling with a bunch of other companions going up this cliff. Why is she climbing straight up a cliff? I don't know. Again, someone pointed out to me, I was watching another reaction that it's like the characters climbing in Game of Thrones, a mountain of ice. Okay, all right. Well, I get that. I understand that. But guys, come on. Like, it is an epic moment, and it is going to be like there's gonna be other places in other stories where they're climbing a wall, right? So there's got to be a reason for this. Again, it's very flashy for the teaser and stuff, but I do understand that feeling. And again, guys, I just really want to point out, don't battle over this. Don't fall into the back and forth battle, the two different sides, guys. Just be a fan when it comes out. You don't have to watch it if you don't want to, right? You really don't. But I'm going to watch it. I'm going to see how it is. And then I will say if I like it or not, and say the things I like and don't like about it, right? So, but I'm going to stay right in the middle, and I'm just going to be a normal fan and be like, okay, I'll check it out. If you mess it up, I'm not going to enjoy it. If you do a great job, I will support it, right? But as Tolkien fans, we reserve the right to like or criticize, because I don't really like these two back and forth sides of one side. It's going to be bad. It's going to be ruined. I hate it. I haven't even seen it. I know almost nothing about it. This teaser showed us very little information, but you know what I'm saying? We know nothing about it, but yet this one group is like hating on it, right? This happened with The Hobbit too a little bit, right? Just because it's different than Peter Jackson's. Guys, Peter Jackson's was a masterpiece. It's really hard to compare to that. Now, again, they have a ton of money for this series, right? So they really should have some good content coming out of this. They really should if they're following the lore. So I understand that. And again, I'd be lying to say that I didn't have my apprehensiveness and worries that they're going to try to do things. And I'm going to stay away from political things. But at the same time, I really don't want them to bring in anything from our world politically, right? Any kind of messages. Stick to Tolkien. Okay? Amazon, stick to Tolkien. All right? I know they've already probably finished filming, but you know what I'm saying. That needs to really be stick to what Tolkien says. And that's what I think with that. All right? That's my thoughts on that. But so this is very cool. But then of course the other side are, if you don't love it and you say you don't love it when it comes out, then you're against Tolkien. What? No, this is an adaptation, right? Tolkien might not even have liked this, right? I don't even know if Tolkien would have liked The Return of the King and Fellowship and Two Towers. My gut feeling is he would have loved it because Peter Jackson did a really good job. He probably would have been annoyed if a few things were taken out, like Tom Bombadil. But yeah, I think he would have. I think he would have liked that. Now, The Hobbit, I don't know if he would have liked The Hobbit, right? Because they tried to make The Hobbit for an older audience too, and they changed a little bit of stuff. But again, you guys, if this, let's say worst come to worst, this isn't bad, right? Guess what? Now everyone who didn't like The Hobbit is only going to love The Hobbit because they're going to realize how good it was comparatively, right? But you know what? Maybe this will be really good, right? And again, I understand the things people didn't like in The Hobbit, but I actually really love The Hobbit, right? I really loved it. Now, compared to Lord of the Rings, it's not nearly as good, right? But I still really loved it, and that was just because the only things I didn't like about it were like some of the CGI things were a little rough, right, in The Hobbit, and then the love triangle thing was just The Tariel, I actually liked the character. I just didn't like the love triangle thing, and then the other thing I didn't really like was Azog was cool chasing him down, but he was from a different time and a different frame, and that was weird to add him in as chasing him all the time. And I didn't like it they didn't have their instruments. But I know that was unrealistic for the movie. They had their big cellos with them the whole time and stuff, the dwarves. But yeah, but really otherwise besides that, The Hobbit was amazing. Bilbo was amazing. The Gandalf was amazing, right? The actors were amazing. All the dwarves were great. The visuals were awesome. The dragon was awesome. The battle was still pretty darn cool. I know some people really didn't like those wereworms, but those are in the lore just in one sentence. Obviously, they took a lot of liberty with that in the Hobbit movies. But again, we're not talking about the Hobbit movies. We're back to this. But I just want to let you guys know that's my thoughts on that one too. We could if you want me to do a review on that, I will. Just let me know. This is our lore playlist. I'm talking about things. So anyway, Galadria, this heavy-duty armor she's wearing as she climbs, I'm not sure that's probably the stuff you should be wearing while you're climbing an ice wall, okay? So realistic there? Not so much. But anyway, this is a cool shot still. There's people with her. I still feel like it could be them crossing the land bridge. Maybe they're going to just go take away the lore thing of the suns aren't created yet. Be a little annoying, but I can understand that. Because this would be cool if she's crossing that. She would be a few thousand years old at this point. So, again, the actress does look a lot like Cate Blanchett younger. But again, they're elves and they mature at 100 years old. So she's a few thousand years old here already. So I understand why they had to get a newer actress, right? But big shoes to fill. So prayers for this actress to do her best. Right? All right. So keep going here. All right, before the Fellowship. That's fine, right? This is before the Third Age. That makes complete and utter sense. Great. Now this big wave here, right? They're on the crashing ship. So what is this? We're thinking, okay? So either this is just a random shipwreck, got stranded, or something happened, or this is Numenor being sunk, right? And this is one of the Numenorians that got away, as well as somehow Galadria gets on the boat with him, right? So why is Galadria there? I don't know. Maybe they changed something a little bit there with the lore. I don't care about little changes as long as they focus the main stuff, right? And don't give other characters people's parts. That's annoying when that happens, right? Like, I understand certain lines. They did that, right? Like, Treebeard and Gimli, like some lines were switched and stuff. But they don't do that, Amazon. Don't do that. Don't make suddenly like... Galadria is really awesome. And someone made this comment, and I do agree with this. Galadria... being feminine, right? Strength is super cool. And as a guy, I greatly admire strong women. Like, totally, right? Like, whoever I marry someday, that strong woman. That's what I want. I don't want a meek woman. I want a strong, independent, thinking woman, right? Like, I'm giving compliments to all women right now, right? That's really what I want. So I don't want them to turn Galadriel into like a man's role. Does that make sense? I want her to be strong as she is in Tolkien's version, right? She's a strong, powerful leader, right? I don't really want her to be like taking another part of another character and trying to make her like that. Now, again, I'd like to see her fighting. I want to see her using magic. It's kind of weird she has a sword, right? In the one little teaser of the Vanity Fair picture. Maybe she uses a sword and uses magic. Okay, that would be cool. I'm down for that. That would be cool. All right, this is pretty cool. Now, Nerd of the Rings made a point that I agree with. Too much slow-mo is kind of rough, and they do that a lot with new fantasy series. I hope that Amazon doesn't do that too much. Maybe this is just slowed down for the teaser, but it is pretty dang cool that he catches an arrow in midair as an elf to save someone and then shoots it back. Okay? That's awesome. All right, that is super cool. That is totally what an elf would do, right? Elves are amazing, right? They're fast, they're agile, you see it. Now, they went a little overboard with that with Legolas in The Hobbit, right? That was another thing, right? When he's like jumping on the rocks as they're falling, right, in that one part. A little cringy, a little too far. Though still, Legolas parts were really good in The Hobbit, even though he wasn't in it, I know. But I liked Legolas being in it. I know it's a little controversy there, but I actually liked it because I think Orlando Bloom's a great actor, and technically Legolas would be around, so it kind of made sense. But again, things like that aren't terrible changes in books. It's when they completely change storylines is when it's like, ugh, right? And again, this is a very cool character. I'm not going to go into any political stuff, but I am totally down to have any actor play any role as long as the actor is the perfect choice for the part, right? So like they all, like every person interviewed, and then they were the best one. They picked them. I'm down. That's awesome. And the same thing, and their parts are written good. I just don't want, because this is a new character, right? This character is said to be a brand new character named. He's not in the books. He's not in the series. He's not a Tolkien made up character. They added him in. That's cool. I don't mind characters that are added in, you guys, as long as they have good parts, right? It's not just added in because they want to add in a character, right? For like some reason, right? That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping they're actually good acted characters, right? And I'm gonna stick to that, right? I really don't care. And people like point things out where I'm like, you guys, that shouldn't even be an issue to point out, right? Like, you know what I'm saying. So, and again, I do think it is right to follow Tolkien's info on what people are from what areas, right? Because some people are like, oh, well, he's darker skinned. Maybe that's not right for the lore. Well, I don't give a crap about that. Like, he's a great actor and he's a good part. Like, that's all I care about, right? Like, who cares? Now, people are like, oh, well, it's not exactly right to lore. It's not right area. It's like, that's a fair and valid point. I don't think you should be putting people down for that point. But at the same time, I really don't care if they slightly fudge that a little bit because, like, I mean, there could be darker skinned elves in the forest, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Now, again, I kind of hope they bring what I would like them to do more is I would hope them to bring in more characters from Harad and Easterlings because there's good ones there too, guys. A lot of people are like, oh, Tolkien made all Harad and Easterlings bad. That is not true, you guys. Just because they were a lot of the ones that joined Sauron in the fight, there was the Blue Wizards were helping the Easterlings battle, and there were a lot of good Easterlings that were helping defend the Valar, right? Still? So, like, and same thing with Harad. There was a lot of good Harad, the Haradrim, who were loyal to the Valar and fighting their own people who had been turned to Sauron, just like the Dunlendings were turned to Sauron and on the other side, right, of the world. So like these kind of things that like Tolkien was very balanced. Tolkien was not, I'm not going to use the word on YouTube, but it's the R word and you know what I'm saying. Tolkien was not that, and anyone who says so doesn't know anything about Tolkien. And I'm sorry, that's a little extreme. Don't freak out in the comments, guys. But I really do think that that's important to remember, that Tolkien really was rather balanced. And just because Tolkien was telling a story of a certain area of a planet doesn't mean suddenly that he's bad, because he even made it very clear with the other groups of people that there were good and bad ones within those groups too. And go watch Nerd of the Rings video on the Haradrim. He makes that very clear too, and it's very well done. I love Nerd of the Rings video on the Haradrim. It was very good. So anyway, let's keep going, my friends. Don't get too hooked on one thing. But anyway, he does look like a very cool character, though, so we'll see how that works out. I hope his parts are good, because I don't want to just put a character in just because, oh, here's a new character that we can use randomly, and then his parts aren't good, right? Before the Ring. Okay, this is before the Ring. Suppose this is the second age. The ring is going to be forged, right? The one ring of power, as well as the other ring, so that's exciting. Totally true. Okay, comet. Or meteor. Meteor into meteorite. So it's a meteor in the air, and then if it hits the ground, it's a meteorite. Why is there a meteor? I have no idea why there's a meteor, guys. I got nothing for you. I don't know what that is. This is I believe this is, I thought this was Gil-galad, and Nerd of the Rings also thinks this is Gil-galad from his review and a couple other people. Cool. Awesome. I hope he has a big part to play. I really, really do. I hope he's just not left on the sidelines entirely. Like, I know Amazon's going to be jumping through a lot of history, which kind of worries me. They're doing so much in just their first season. Maybe they're going to jump through all 5 seasons or whatever. If they have 5 seasons, I don't know. I don't know how many seasons they're going to have, but maybe they'll jump through all of, that time over a long period of time. We got 40, 50 hours of video. That would be good. That would be definitely good. I hope they don't do it in season 1, because 3,000 years in season 1 is like, it's going to feel really hoppy and jumpy around. How are they going to do that to make it feel clean? That's what I'm worried about with that. But, yeah, so anyway, Gil-galad, excited to see Gil-galad. He actually looks a lot like the other Gil-galad actor in the original, where you see him just for a split second in the Fellowship of the Ring during the Last Alliance battle, the actor. He looks very similar, so that's good. They kept to that from the movies. All right, so, and then we got a flash moment here of Galadria riding a horse. Now, why is she riding a horse in the battle? I don't know. The background, guys, here's what people are missing. That background looks a lot like New Zealand to me again. Looks like Middle-earth. I love that. Okay, so the teaser is telling me the visuals of the backgrounds look great. Okay, so that's a positive we can keep in mind here. Okay, the armor on these horses looks very, I don't know if it's Numenorian or if that's elven armor maybe, but it is very cool. They're probably trying to kind of do a part like Arwen, right, where she's riding the horse, even though technically that wasn't Arwen. In that part of the story, it was Gil-galad. Sorry, yeah, that was right. Yep, but yeah, I'm down. I'm down for the horse stuff. I just hope that she leads. I hope she's not like, they don't portray her as like a young, rambunctious elf, a girl or something, because she's like 2,000 something years old here, if not older. And she's already super mature and one of the oldest probably elves around, right? And so is Gil-galad. So I kind of hope they don't really betray her like that. I want her to be betrayed as wise still, even though granted she's older in the Third Age, but she's already learned so much at this point. So I hope she's not like rambunctious and like quick to decide on things. I hope she's like very well-mannered and intelligent and wise. That's what I want Galadriel to be. So we'll see. All right, let's keep going. All right, so that doesn't look like the new Galadria actor from the other shot. So this is someone else, I believe. I have no idea. Now, this is a cool one. Okay, so this is some kind of troll, the sound it makes. It's got some crazy tusks going on. Now, there's a thing called ice trolls in many of the games. Battle for Middle-earth, War in the North, all these games, we've seen ice trolls created already, and they look very hairy, and it's very cool. He's got like ice on his back to like blend in. The tusks, okay, the tusks are fine. It's a little weird, but all right. So definitely cool. I like how they did this. I'm excited to see more of this creature because you really don't get to see much of it in this little flash of information here. So they're obviously going to be in the far north somewhere, whether it be crossing that land bridge of ice in the Second Age when it was there, or they're in the far north above like Angmar in the Fordwaith or whatever. All right, so a new legend begins this fall. Now, this is weird to me a little bit because it's not a new legend. This has been around for 100 years of our planet, right? This is the Second Age of Middle-earth. I guess they're saying a new legend as in being put to an adaptation in a TV series. That's my guess, okay? So anyway, this fall, guys, we'll see how it goes. All right, this is a beautiful shot. Man, they fly through in this teaser. Like, what was that, like 4 frames to show this? Even less? I don't even know. Okay. So, this is beautiful. This completely makes me think of Middle-earth. So, I'm a little confused with people making comments like it doesn't make me think of Middle-earth at all. I think it's because, guys, to be honest, like I'm being fair to people who say that. It's the sound. This sound of this trailer is super generic in the music. It's super, super generic, guys. It's like so generic, right? Like I feel it's really generic. The way they do the sound. It's like they just took a track off a shelf and stuck it in. Here we go. We got a track for the video. Epic soundtrack, right? You get it on iTunes in the epic soundtrack playlist, right? That kind of thing. That's what I feel like happened here. And I think that's what's making people not feel like it's Middle-earth. I have a feeling, you guys, when we see it and we see the scenery, which the scenery to me has all felt Middle-earth in this teaser. All of it. It's really like, look at that. That's got to be somewhere in, maybe Linden or near the ocean, right? Or maybe it's Rivendell, maybe it's Lothlorien. I don't know, right? But that's a huge cliff right there, and that to me looks like an ocean. Doesn't look like a lake because it's way down there. So I have a feeling this is somewhere in Linden or the Grey Havens. That's my guess. All right, this is probably Gilgalad, right? Maybe anointing Elrond or something when he becomes his right-hand man, right? Or elf in this case. But again, yeah, I really do think that the scenery and stuff feels Lord of the Rings. The music, again, not so much. The characters, some of them yes, some of them not so much. Again, like I told you, that one like Hobbit girl, if she's the Hobbit, or a female girl, or whoever that is, she makes me think of a fawn, like Narnia, or like one of those other new fantasy series or TV shows. So I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm not sure about that one. But yeah, the scenery looks great. And when they put it to Howard Shore's music in the actual thing, guys, it's gonna feel like Lord of the Rings. That'll be awesome. Now, we don't know about the story writing and the actors, right? How they take Tolkien's work. That's what'll make or break it, probably. Howard Shore, I'm not worried about. He'll do fantastic music, and we'll be stoked no matter what with that. And the scenery, I think they have the money to make the scenery look great, to film in New Zealand, to do great CGI. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the storytelling and the characters acting, which is the hard one, right? Because we've had really good actors in the past. Really, really good, right? So it's like, all these amazing actors in the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies from Peter Jackson. It's really going to be hard to live up to that. But I am praying for them that they will do good. All right, let's keep going. All right. This has been reported as one of the Durins. He looks like a dwarf. I love him. He's awesome. He's one of my favorite characters already. Except he looks kind of sad here. So I don't know what's happening. It's a second age. Is he sad because they tried to help the elves because Sauron attacked Eregion and was wiping them out, and they tried to save him? They had to pull back into Moria. Is he sad because they're going to show the Balrog wake up and kill his father and take Khazad-dûm? I don't know. And I believe he's supposed to be Durin the Fourth, which at this time, I forget which Durin is supposed to be alive in the second age in this time frame, but we'll see. But anyway, I'm totally stoked. Really cool. All right. Here we have, we're going to get into this. So here we have younger Elrond. Now, I'm glad his hair is darker here. And a lot of people have said that, right? Because like his hair looked blonde in the picture. And it's like, Elrond's not blonde, right? In the book or in the adaptation by Peter Jackson. I kind of wish they just had the old actor of Elrond. Like, honestly. Like, I honestly felt like that. Like, just bring the actors for Galadriel and Elrond back. Just have them back, right? Because they really aren't going to be aged different. They're not going to look this young. They just wouldn't, right? Elves age after 100 years. They're both thousands of years old in the second age and in the third age. So they look their age right then. Now, the only elf that is reported to have a beard is Círdan, right? And Círdan is old, right? So, and we do know that elves probably do have some sort of aging, because Tolkien says in an interview that when they ask, well, the elves are immortal, he goes, what? I never said that in the interview. And the interviewer's like, what? What do you mean? And he's like, I didn't say they were immortal. I just said they just live a long time. So maybe elves just age super slow. So maybe Círdan has a beard because he's got a beard now, right? He's in his, 50s for an elf instead of being in his, thousands of years, somewhere between 20s and 50s, right? I don't know. That's a random side lore thing that I've been thinking about. But again, hopefully this actor's great, because I really like Elrond, and a lot of people love Elrond. So hopefully they don't make him like a brash, like, get good elf kid. It's okay if they do things like that a little, but don't ruin his character. Stick to the Elrond we know and love. All right, because he's not gonna be that much different, except for he'd probably be a little frustrated at the dwarves, because in the movie he says the dwarves stick in their mountains and blah blah blah. Maybe that's what this is implying from the movies, right? Now again, it's not entirely true. The dwarves come out to help the elves in Eregion when Sauron attacks. They save Elrond, so maybe he'll have some thankfulness in this too. Hopefully they don't change that, because if they change that, be very grumpy if they try to make dwarves look like the bad guys when they actually came and saved Elrond and all the elves. Yes, but I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll stay true to that. But anyway, next slide. All right. All right, guys. So here's what I got on this one. This is the new royalty female dwarf. As you all know, I'm totally down for female dwarves. Totally. You've seen all my episodes in Lothar Tale if you watch my playlist a lot. I really love it that Lord of the Rings Online has been bringing in female dwarves. I thought it was cool because Tolkien jokes about them, right? That, you know, dwarves pop out of holes in the ground, Gimli says in the thing. But obviously they don't. There's female dwarves. Female dwarves, very clearly in Tolkien's lore, have beards. This dwarf has no beard. There is absolutely no beard on this dwarf. Now, her hair in some of her pictures is epic because it's really huge and big. So, okay, that's kind of cool. Why doesn't she have some kind of... I don't even care if it's just a little tough or something. I don't understand why they're changing that so much. Maybe it's just because she's a royal dwarf. And for some reason, the female royal dwarves in this made-up version lore don't have beards, and other ones do. But, like, if we even go to The Witcher, they have a little dwarf in that who's a little different than dwarves. It's more of a... Witcher dwarves are more of a dwarf in our real thinking of dwarves, right? In real life dwarves, who are just smaller people, versus Tolkien's dwarves that have a little bit more stout. They're like a different race, right? They even have a beard on her in The Witcher one. So I'm not quite sure. I'm comparing that because that's a new series, right? In the last year. I'm not quite sure why they don't have a beard. Now, there's a couple reasons I can think about. Maybe they just want her to look nicer. Maybe she didn't want to have a beard, really. But, I mean, if she's auditioning to be a dwarf woman, she's going to have to be willing to have a beard. But this is obviously not her decision. This is obviously the caster's decision. Now, she does feel like a dwarf. I like it that her hands, she's a person with more stubby hands. No offense, but she fits that with the dwarf look and feel. Her stuff. I'm not sure what's happening here. Maybe I'll really like this character. She's made up, obviously. She's not in the real story. Maybe I won't. I really hope she was chosen because she herself is a great actress, not because Amazon wanted to just make up another character, right? Okay. That's my feeling. Again, there are multiple clans of the dwarves, so it is not out of lore to have a dwarf with darker skin. Maybe she's from one of the other clans. Now, again, I think she's supposed to be one of the Durin Longbeard's dwarves. So, not really supposed to, but again, I really don't give a crap. As long as, excuse my word, as long as she's a great actress and her part's good, right? Like, that's all I care about. No Tolkien. We Tolkien lovers, we are really nice people, and no one is the R word. You know what I'm saying? We're not. Okay? We're not. We just want you to stick to Tolkien's lore. That's all. And the thing is, we are totally down, all of us, to have things like this, as long as you stick to the lore. Again, I wouldn't care about any of that stuff. What I care about is she doesn't have a beard. That's what bothers me, because she's a dwarf. Okay? That's what I care about. Again, I hope her part is amazing, and that I could like it, and that it'll be great, because she's a made-up character. She's not a Tolkien, because Tolkien didn't really say anything about any female dwarves, except that there were female dwarves, right? So, again, this will be cool. The only female dwarf that Tolkien really mentions is like Dis, D-I-S, and that is Thorin Oakenshield's sister, who is the mom of, she's royalty, and she's the mom of Keely and Feely, which poor her when they all die in the Battle of Five Armies. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine losing both your children and your brother? Oh, that makes me feel sick for her. But anyway, and someone else pointed out that this, I don't remember her name right now, this new character, but in the dictionary, it doesn't mean something very nice. So I'm not quite sure why Amazon didn't think about that when they made the name, but it does sound very like a dwarven name. Her name does sound like a dwarven name, so that's good. But yeah, anyway, I think we should, as Tolkien fans, should be able to criticize things, but again, I'm totally down for little changes here and there, and whoever they pick, as long as they pick the person because they were the perfect person for the part, right? That's what matters. They're a good actress or good actor. They picked them for the part, and that the part is written well. It's not just stuck there, right? That's what we want. That's Tolkien fans. That's Zollin Ironshield's take on that. But again, I'm glad to see that they have female dwarves. That's cool. I'm down for that. Again, I hope they don't push it too much, where they like try to like drown out other dwarves, right? But I'm down. All right, so now this part's interesting, okay? So Nerd of the Rings pointed something out in his view that I agreed with. I thought it was kind of weird when I saw it, right? I was kind of like, well, that's weird, right? Why is he grabbing her hair and pulling it back? So obviously he's checking if she's an elf or human. That's the obvious response to this, right? And Nerd of the Rings pointed out that that's done a lot in the Witcher, right? Because there's a real big stigma in The Witcher, which I don't really totally like in The Witcher. That there's big stigma between the elves and the humans, and they're trying to kill each other all the time, and they're like being like racist to each other. Oh, I'm gonna use the word. Hopefully that doesn't like ban the video. It's just I don't know. We'll see how that works out, right? We'll see how this works out. So I'm really hoping this will be fine, but yeah. So that's interesting. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe it's no big deal. Maybe they're just trying in the teaser to make us think there's something like that that's going to happen, and really there's not. Again, I really want them to stay, when I say that, I really want them to stay to Tolkien's lore and not bring in any kind of political or problems in the history of our real world, because we're here to watch a fantasy, and we're not here to bring in issues that we all have to deal with in our lives, right? With problems. Which again, I don't think no Tolkien fan is the R word. I just really don't think so. I mean, all Tolkien fans I know are so fair to everyone, right? Everyone, every background. We just don't want our story ruined, because the story is the word is, I don't really like to use this word anymore because it's touching on both sides, but inclusive. Tolkien's stuff really is, you guys. Everyone can relate to Tolkien's characters. That's why I don't understand why people are like that. Because like when I watch a show, no matter who they are, what background they are from the world, I can relate to the character because they're another person, right? They're another human. So I'm like, I relate. I can understand the hardship they're going through, right? That's what we're good at as humans. If we really concentrate, we can put ourselves in someone else's shoes and know that, right? So anyway, we're not going to go on that any more than that. But this is kind of weird. I'm not sure about this part. So let's continue on. All right. What is happening here? All right. I am on the same page as Nerd of the Rings with this one, guys. Voice of the Rings has no idea what is happening here. Okay, so there's a guy holding another guy's hand, and there's fire exploding everywhere. Some people... Okay, so Nerd of the Rings this is the closest thought, and I think he's got something. Maybe it's one of the blue wizards, and they like came from the stars, or like from the other plane of existence in the Middle Earth, because they didn't come from the Undying Lands or something in this. Maybe? I don't know. I have no idea what's happening here. It just explosions. Lots of explosions. And fire circling around this man who looks like to be wearing almost no clothes, except for some loincloth or something, and yet it's not on fire, even though there's fire around him everywhere. I just don't know. I don't know what's happening here. I'm not sure. All right, heck yeah. We got something cool here. All right, we got to see this one, okay? Here we go. All right, so we've got Durin, that looks like the same dwarf, and then some other dwarves, and they're breaking into this. I have a feeling that maybe they found Mithril. That's my guess. This is already epic. These all look like these dwarves. Like, look at these beards. I love the fact that these dwarves have just epic beards. This makes me really excited, okay, guys? So that's good, because one thing, again, in The Hobbit that I mentioned is that Thorin's beard is a little short for how old he is, and I always thought that was kind of weird, even though his hair is long, which is good, but his beard's kind of short. I mean, it's not much longer than mine right now, right? And I just started growing my beard last year. But you know what I'm saying? Like, so I like it. These guys' beards are like really, really big, right? They look awesome. He like holding something cool, and I believe he's breaking into this. I have a wonder if they found Mithril, right? It's the second age, it's Casa Doom. That's my guess. Now he breaks it. Pretty epic hit of the pickaxe, just slapping it in half with sparks everywhere. Pretty cool. Yes, I've hit rocks with pickaxes. I've gone mining myself. They throw sparks. That is very realistic. All right, moving on. All right, there's a quick flash right here. It's so quick. There's another dwarf. Oh, dang it. I got it and missed it. Let's go back just a little bit. Can I get back to it? All right, there's actually another dwarf here. It's another shot. So maybe they're showing two different dwarves breaking Mithril open. Maybe this dwarf is the one that finds it, and then they bring a chunk in, Durin breaks the other one. Maybe that's what they're showing there. It's so fast, it's like a frame. It's crazy. All right, so the next thing. This one. I have no idea what's going on here. Maybe he's a captive from orcs. This elf. I don't know what's happening, but he's obviously aiming for this. This seems a little unrealistic, this jump. Now, again, they're elves, right? Like, they have almost super abilities, right? Because Legolas walks on snow and stuff and, like, has crazy jump leaps and climbs an elephant, right? All these things elves can do. That makes sense to me. But I don't know what's happening here. It's kind of weird. He's obviously trying to... There's people under here, looks like. Well, sorry, I'm in the way. There's people under here to the right there. So he's obviously maybe trying to knock this down so he can try to escape. I don't know. I really don't know what's going on here, so I'm not going to go more than that. All right, this one. This is pretty epic. So these are obviously elves fighting orcs. What is this fire over here? This looks a lot like... All right. So I saw this fire and I was thinking just explosion. But then I watched a couple other people's reaction videos and I was like, they made some good points. This was like a Balrog, right? Like the movie version of a Balrog. Will they get rid of the wings? Who knows? I know that's a joke. A lot of people are like, Balrogs don't have wings, right? They have the wings of smoke or whatever, but they don't have like physical wings like the Peter Jackson. But I'm going to be honest, guys, the Peter Jackson Balrog is freaking amazing, so I'm not really going to complain. And it's kind of like it's symbolic because they're demon versions of Meyer, so they're kind of like fallen angels. So having wings that don't work, kind of like, I don't know, I find that kind of interesting. But anyway, that would be cool. So this is a battle of the first age, and is this Fëanor, right? I think that's the name, right? Galadria's brother, who in the story gets killed, right? Yeah. Maybe this is a flashback. That'd be pretty cool. Now, these elves' armor look great. The shields look really cool. I hope these are replicas that I can get to my collection, which I have tons, which if you look at the Lotra collection playlist, I will start adding videos of my reviews of different weapon replicas you can get from Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Hopefully they do some for this one too, because it's pretty cool. I kind of want Galadria's cool dagger that has like the two trees of light on it. That thing's pretty cool. These helmets, they feel too human. They feel too Roman to me, right? Like our world Roman or human like Numenorian. Then they're so plain. Now, one thing that I do find interesting is it's maybe a little bit more realistic. The elf helmets in the Peter Jackson's adaptations have the spiked horn on them. I actually have one right here up on the shelf. And it looks cool, but they're kind of unrealistic, right? Its spike is kind of unrealistic. Maybe they're just trying to go more realistic here. And also, why are all the elves' hair so short? That's a weird one for me, right? I'm not, like, I know they're trying to make it more modern and stuff, and I'm fine with modern, right? But why is their hair so darn short? It's a little too short for me. I don't like it. I'm used to Legolas with long hair now. And again, I'm a guy that doesn't like to have my hair long. And usually I don't think it looks good on most guys who have long hair, but some guys can get away with it. But it's weird that a lot of the elves don't, because they're a lot older at this point. They usually have that. They usually have long hair and no beards. That's what Tolkien says. But except for Círdan, who's the cool elf with a beard. No offense, other elves. Anyway, so this battle looks pretty cool. He looks like he's shouting to someone, like he's trying to save someone, or he's worried about something bad is happening. It's a war zone. Makes sense. It's pretty good. I like it. All right, and then we got this handhold, right? So at first I was thinking, is this, when I first saw this, Tom Bombadil and Goldberry. But now that I look at it closer, the hand is a real small hand. That looks like a child's hand, right? So I don't think that it is Goldberry, because she is a full river spirit woman, full age. Her hand would be a little bigger. So who is this, right? So then if you look at the markings, right, that looks a lot like Gandalf's clothing, which worries me because I'm like, Gandalf's not supposed to be here, right? Like, no Gandalf, please. So I don't think it's Gandalf. I don't think it's Tom Bombadil. I thought it was at first. My guess is something similar to Gandalf. Maybe one of the Blue Wizards. Maybe Radagast. I don't know. Radagast isn't there either yet, I don't believe, though. He came with Saruman, Gandalf, and them. So the blue wizards came in the Second Age, though, in the lore now. So it would make sense if it was on the blue wizards, maybe helping a small girl, or maybe at first too I thought maybe it's a blue wizard and like Galadria, but again it's a small hand. Maybe it's a hobbit hand, right? Maybe it's one of their hobbits they're adding in. They're like pre-Hobbit society or whatever they were kind of doing. A little worried about that. I don't want them to go too crazy. Hopefully that's the side note, like, oh look, here's hobbits. They're gonna be the little instigators of telling our background story of the first age. Totally cool with that. That would be fine. Sure. Okay, fine. Again, Tolkien says the hobbits come in the third age, but it's kind of how it goes, right? So anyway, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. That was kind of my review. What do you guys think? I have yeah, I'm still looking forward to this, guys. I'm looking forward to it for sure. I'm gonna put a little bit of stuff here on the background. So I don't know what you guys think. You're welcome to leave comments. Please keep the comments civil. And if you disagree with something I said, you're welcome to say something about it, but don't do it in a attack manner. Some people, like in YouTube comments, man, they just attack, and it's like, you guys, I would probably agree to disagree with you or agree with you with a comment. You might even change my mind on something if you make a good comment, right? So go ahead, leave a comment. See what you say. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. But leave a comment. What do you guys think? Do you guys think I'm like, I feel like does feel like Lord of the Rings when it comes to the scenery and stuff. The music did not, but I think that will be solved when Howard Shore music is put to it in the movies, because Howard Shore is amazing, right? And he made all the music for our iconic music, right? For stuff like that. This music you're listening to is not Howard Shore, though. It is actually Chance Thomas from the Lord of the Rings Online, which is pretty cool. Someone I know. He's an awesome composer. I've actually met him in person interview, so maybe he'll be on the channel sometime. But yeah, I really am excited though about this series, and I think I covered everything I kind of wanted to cover going through this. Again, to sum up my view on it as Zollin Ironshield is that I will continue to have hope for this and be excited about this, but at the same time I will reserve the right to judge whether good or bad. And I disagree when people say if you don't like this, you're like against Tolkien, because this is an adaptation, and we should be able to criticize something we don't like, and then maybe they'll change the next season, right? They'll change, but fidget some things, right? Because we have to get our voices known as Tolkien fans, right? But again, we've told them so much. I hope that they will do a good job, and I hope that we're all pleasantly surprised that it's excellent, right? And they don't bring in any kind of like messaging or like of like different views in our current world. Don't do that. Just stick to the story, right? We watch fantasy to get away from all the stuff we have to deal with in real life, with different things we have to think about and stuff. We don't want to go into watching a fantasy and then hear about the same problems we have to deal with every day in real life, right? With worries of things. And again, I think that all Tolkien fans are awesome. We are very welcoming to all sorts of viewpoints, but at the same time, we want our story to be the same as Tolkien wrote for us, right? That's what we want. We want our story to be the same as Tolkien wrote for us. And that is what I am hoping for. And I'm very excited about it. I still am very excited about it. I'm going to continue to stay excited about it. So I lean more towards the excited side, and I do not lean to either of the extremes of I don't like it, it's horrible, we haven't even seen it yet, or the other side of if you don't like it, you're a horrible Tolkien person. No, both sides. Let's wait to watch it and be excited about it. I'm in the same boat as Nerd of the Rings, another channel that I love and support greatly. He does a great job. He's been really wonderful and awesome help to my channel and giving me pointers. But that is my viewpoints. That is Zollin Ironshield's view on the new teaser trailer and what's to come. And I will not do tons of stuff on this. Again, my channel isn't going to become all about the Amazon series, but we will do stuff still, of course, because it's fun and it's a huge thing for Tolkien lovers, right? No matter what, if we get a movie that has $700 million put into it, TV series, we kind of want to watch it, right? Like, we want to see it at least, even if we don't end up liking it as much. Or maybe we'll love it. That is what I hope. So, my friends, thank you so much for joining me today. Baruch Kazad Kazad, I menu, the background music I love. And the subscribe button's going to be right there. The next episode for this, Lore Master, will be up there, and my main playlist, Loader Tale, will be over there. So guys, please, subscribe, like, check them out. Down there, there's links to things, so check them all out. Quick little shout-out and thank you to my Patreons, and thank you to MrRevel for your support as a Royal Level Patreon. My 2 Patrons, I appreciate you guys a lot. If you guys want to join, there's a lot of lower level things down here. The lower level, there are my top tier Patreons, which I love. You guys are welcome to join that too, but the lower ones down there, you get in the Discord and stuff when you join that. So you don't have to get the most expensive one to join the Discord. But yes, anyway, very excited. Also free links to Twitter and Facebook and stuff down there if you want to join those. And my Twitch that I do sometimes. But this YouTube channel is all about Lord of the Rings. All Lord of the Rings content and Tolkien. All right, my friends. I'll see you in the next episode of Voice of the Rings. I'm your host and guide, Zollin Ironshield. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Right there, subscribe button. Have a good day in Middle Earth, my friends.